So Catholic groups have announced that they're going to oppose the removal of the baptism barrier. The baptism barrier is a way for the church to force parents into baptising their children into the Catholic faith in order to guarantee a place in a school, because the church will prioritise children that have been baptised. This is a form of discrimination in a society that is becoming more and more secular. Now, I'm not here to bash ordinary Catholics. I'm not religious, but I understand that people believe in religion for a myriad of reasons. And there are atheists and religious people in the establishment, and there are atheists and religious people in the working class movement. We need to get the institution of the church out of our schools and hospitals and out of our lives. The Catholic Church is in decline in Ireland. Although the latest census had 70% of people say that they were Catholic, considering the forms are filled out by the head of the household, this is unrepresentative of younger people living in the house. And even those who do count themselves as Catholic, only a third of them go to Mass. In Dublin, that figure drops to only 14%. In the 1940s, there were 20,000 people in religious orders. Now, there are only 20 people in the church training course in Maynooth. But although the church may be in decline now, they still hold power over our schools. So how did the church in Ireland become so powerful? Until the end of the 18th century, the British occupation of Ireland involved passing penal laws against Catholics, which gave the Catholic Church an aura of being in opposition to empire. But the British Empire changed tack after the French Revolution, when they realised the conservative bishops at the top of the Catholic Church could help defend their interests in Ireland. One Catholic bishop put it this way: it won't be the English government that will undermine the rights of the church, but it will be the growing movement of revolutionary nationalists. In other words, the church were more fearful of the fight for Irish freedom than they were of the British Empire, who defended their hold over society. When the Irish Revolution came from 1916 to 1923, there were loads of mass strikes and protests by working class people. But the people who led the National Liberation Movement were conservatives like Kevin O'Higgins, who said we have to bring this era of social flux to an end. They knew that the Catholic Church would help them reimpose a class society. As ordinary people's hopes for a better society were dashed, in return, the Free State offered them a better life in heaven and beyond the clouds. When Fianna Fáil came to power in the 1930s, they used the Catholic Church to hammer anyone with left-wing views. They began to identify Catholicism with being Irish. The bishops offered the Irish establishment support by promoting family values and obedience to hierarchy, by opposing the rights of working class people, by opposing unions, and by being rabidly anti-left. But the Republican movement fell for this. For example, in the 1930s, when Republicans voted to adopt a more socialist programme, the bishops made them retract it because it was against Catholic values. The Labour Party was even worse. When Noel Browne put forward a scheme to give mothers and their children access to healthcare, the Catholic Church opposed it. Labour supported the church. So if the church had so much power, why have they been weakened? Well, the first reason is that the lives of Irish people have changed. Ireland is now predominantly an urban society. Women played a key role in undermining the hold of the church. From 1971 to 1991, the amount of women in the Irish workforce increased by 50%. Family planning became vital to these women. The age at which women got married rose. Abortion rose from 261 in 1970 to 6,672 in 2001. As women's lives changed, the establishment was way behind. But growing dissatisfaction with the Catholic Church was expressed protest movements on the streets, like in 1992, when thousands of people came onto the streets after a 14-year-old rape victim was denied the right to travel for an abortion. Leo Varadkar and the Irish establishment like to pretend that they're liberal, but they still rest on the Catholic Church because they understand that they need a support base in every community. They may talk liberal, but they give the church control of our schools and many of our hospitals. The Catholic Church has been weakened over the last number of years, but as long as Varadkar, Micheál Martin and the Irish establishment lean on the Church to support their right-wing views, we won't be rid of this oppressive institution. We need full separation of the Church and state to let the Irish people breathe, and you can be sure over the coming years that the young people who've been on the streets in their tens of thousands calling for repeal will lead the way.